All gas
Hey,
right there.
we are off and running. Off and running here.
Guys, this is the first ever NEWrestle podcast. Creative name, I guess. Uh, that's in flux a little bit. We might let you guys decide on a name if someone can think of something good. But this is actually made possible by Insure Nebraska. Uh, Joe Schluckabeer out of Milford, he's a wrestling guy, coach. He's a state champion in high school, and he has an insurance business, and he's the man. So if you're looking for something like that, contact Joe, and he'll get you set up right away. I'm probably going to say this more than once as we go along in the show over the days and months. But support people who support wrestling. Pretty simple deal, but there are people out there that want to see the sport grow, and Joe is one of them.
Yeah, you might have to wear some sunglasses when you're next to the guy because he's missing a little hair on the head. But I've
From
never
years
really
of
been
wrestling and
around
coaching.
never been around the guy without making a bald joke to the guy. Thanks to Joe for letting us have this be possible, man.
Absolutely. So first couple days of practices are down here. We've got a little feedback from the coaches on our first day of practice article. I was able to go to um, Creighton Prep and check out practice there on Monday, and holy smokes, uh, just really impressive. They're going to be amazing.
So, I mean, since you were there as a in person, just give me some insight to comparison on what they look like in terms of some teams we've seen in history, maybe.
Well, I think they have an opportunity to set the Class A scoring record. Um, it's very possible that they do. They had a little injury to Mikey Novero in the in football injury, so they're down. They're originally starting 215,
Hmm.
but he will. I mean, they'll be fine. They're going to have a hammer at almost every weight, anyways, and I'm sure they got someone to fill in there. Their practice is really impressive in a sense that they're varsity guys. They all pretty much wrestle year round, which I mean, a team that stacked is like that. But they get a lot of autonomy to work on the things that they specifically want to work on. You know, one guy might have a nasty double leg, but another guy may not ever use that in his repertoire. So they're working on things specific to their styles of wrestling. That like,
Hmm.
I mean, if you're at a small town, you're learning technique all day long, where they're fine tuning their high level stuff throughout practice. So I thought that was really unique and cool. And practice got over, and the coaches are done with practice, and those kids were still in their shadow wrestling and just like up against the wall, like moving around. And it was, I mean, high level stuff. They're gonna, they'll have several state champions. They get Zion Ornelas from Wilbur Claytonia, who's now going for his fourth state title, and then Caleb Griffith transferred over from Mount Michael, and he's one of the top sophomores in the state. We were actually talking a little bit while we were there, and so Zion we had as the number one senior in Super 60. JT Smith is the number one junior in Super 60, and Cruiser Dominguez is the number one sophomore in Super 60. And then you have like
Yeah.
Caleb Griffith is right there, and Cole Coniglia is right there, and the juniors, and it's just like, and you just got a whole lineup of studs. So um,
It's
props
going
to
to be
them.
quite the spectacle. I mean, if you have followed wrestling in this state for any amount of time, like obviously the heyday of Scott Millard South's current run that they had been on more recently, and then even kind of somewhat the Grand Island run,
Yeah,
that they had. But when you're talking about breaking the Class A scoring record, you're talking 260 and a half points.
it doesn't really seem possible, but I actually don't think they were that far off last year. So
Right.
I mean, I think they can probably do it. Guess we'll see. Where weights fall, and they're still they still got to figure out who's going 120, 126, and 132 between Cruiser, Dominguez, and Cole Caniglia and Zion Ornelas. So
Mm-hmm.
we will see how things end up for them. And I mean, that's not going to discredit any of the other schools in Class A, because Columbus, Grand Island, Lincoln East, Millard South. There's all these schools that are wonderful teams, and I mean, that's the chase pack right there. The battle for seconds kind of on.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to kind of put the standard on Creighton Prep, but I mean, like, hey, if you pin your way through at all 14 weights, that's 420 points. So, I mean, there's a lot of points out there to get.
Yeah, they got wiggle room. I
So,
mean, you've seen it. You've seen the Millard South teams. So have I. And I mean, they were stacked too. And so, health is a big factor, and it's going to be a big factor for all these teams that are vying for a state title. But I
oh
mean,
my gosh.
we got the beginning of a dynasty going on here, and we're sort of talking about, you mentioned Grand Island, and then there's, obviously the Hildebrandt era at Omaha Skutt, and then they kind of have their own little dynasty started up again. They're going for their third and 4 years in Class B.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think about some of those other teams, like especially like when we were kids growing up, some of the teams that were out of that, like kind of started out, maybe Class D. I always think of like, I think of Rushville back before they were co-opted with Gordon, those
Yeah,
late 90s.
yeah,
I mean, I know that's right in our wheelhouse in terms of our memory and stuff, but like, holy cow, those guys had a ton of studs up and down, especially like those lightweights.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, and everyone remembers Brett Hunter, right? I mean, he's still in the
Hmm.
wrestling world.
Oh
But
yeah.
I mean, they just had all these guys. I remember being so impressed with Zach Clark back in the day, and then there were the House kids and
Hmm.
the Yonkins, and I mean that was quite a team too. And then obviously the Fighting Hermans from Amherst had their dynasty era in Class D too. I mean, just the high half special and the slide by, and they'd go on and pretty much dominate Class D for felt like a decade.
It kind of was crazy because, I mean, this is kind of our playground here, right? So Amherst, I always thought about how the way they won state tournaments all those years, it always felt like they were pinning their way to third. Like they might drop, like they'd have a kid
Hmm.
maybe that wasn't even in the top three in the rankings or wasn't supposed to be, and then he'd somehow high half his way to third, or whatever after dropping an early match or whatnot. Like it was just crazy. Those guys were hammers.
I mean, it's gritty stuff, right? You got to, as a coach, you got to encourage that, and you got to, um, you know, instill that kind of toughness in your kids to bounce back from a loss and do well. And it did seem like they always did. I mean, I coached during that era, and
Hmm.
I mean, it was annoying wrestling Amherst. So I hate you, Tyler. I'm just kidding.
It's kind of funny, because I'll give a little shout out to your brother because your brother always talked about this, like because he coached at Elm Creek shortly after you did, and he always talked about the Amherst thing, and it's like, when they're running that spiral or whatever, all you have to do is you just have to peel the hand out of the crotch, peel the hand out of the crotch, and
Get the
then
low
you're up
hand.
and
You got to
out.
get the
Like,
low hand, and you're out of there. But
and people just wanted to sit there and just get, I'm done, I'm done fighting this off and just go to their back.
gosh, yeah. Well, yeah. So you have Creighton Prep, and then you have Scott.
Hmm.
And I mean, Scott's got a freaking, their upper weights are going to be out of control, and their younger weights, their smaller weights are going to be good too. I mean, you have, um, the Devetter, and then, gosh, they're 106 coming in. They're going to be in the running for state titles in Class B, and then um, they're you got Ben Ziola going for his third as a junior. You got Tyler Harrell going for four as a senior. Riley Johnson's going for three. I mean, they're just like I very complimentary of the Scut program, and
Hmm.
they specifically will dual Creighton Prep in January. And that's going to be freaking awesome. It was awesome last year at Creighton Prep. Scott went in there and kind of got, I would call it a mild upset. They bumped up most of their lineup and kind of, got a little crazy with, and that's what makes duels so awesome. But the Creighton Prep atmosphere in there, they had the whole student section filled up full of people. It was one of the more memorable duels that I can remember going to at least recently.
Yeah, that has to be just a fantastic atmosphere considering the storylines following both programs, like so
Yeah.
obviously the people that are there, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
that you can't ask for anything better than that in terms of a dual atmosphere in the state of Nebraska, probably.
Hmm. No, you can't. And I mean, it's cool because the kids are obviously super into it.
Hmm.
But most of those kids are like wrestling sickos. They're just at it all year, and
Yeah.
so then they're in this dual environment, and it gets heated. Like some of those guys wrestle club together as teammates, and then they have to wrestle in the duel as enemies, and it gets kind of heated. The Riley Johnson JT Smith match last year was crazy, and they could wrestle again this year. And I mean, that's just one to really be excited for. But maybe we're looking too far ahead there. I don't know. We got some pretty good tournaments right out of the gate. You got anything on your radar?
Well, obviously, I think I just kind of wanted to mention from Class C perspective because we kind of mentioned Scott, we kind of mentioned Creighton Prep, just the whole storyline with Cedar Catholic breaking their co-op with Hardington so they could stay slotted down into Class C really makes the Class C race even more interesting than it usually is. Like it already is great. It has been great in years past. But Cedar Catholic having those guns in there now, to compete with the depth of certain other teams, like the storylines and how that's going to unfold and draws and all that kind of stuff. I mean, not to get too far ahead of us, but, it's going to be a great year for Class C. But I look at like St. Paul and Pierce has a deep team coming back. Central City's coming down from B, and Garfield's always got a good team going there.
Yeah.
So I'm probably missing a couple off the top of my head, but like
David City, bro.
David City, yes.
The Scouts.
Yes, absolutely.
They're going to
Can't ever
do.
count them out.
They could win it, right? Like you're kind of the resident Class C guru now, taking over for me. But I think they probably have enough guys to at least make a run.
I actually had that before we found out. So when we made the decision to bring me on here to do Class C, I kind of did some work in the spring on getting some of these teams aligned where I thought, preseason rankings, doing all the preseason stuff and having like a potential like list of points, state points possible, kind of how you do with your spreadsheet. And I actually had David City slotted in based on the returners coming back, winning the state tournament, but that was with Cedar Catholic out of it.
And
then some things have changed, obviously, and now I don't have them at the top because it's all spread out now, those points.
So a lot of people, been following Battle Creek. They've won a couple in a row, and that was, I mean, what a storybook ending with Brendan Bowling from Pierce getting the little bit of an upset in the state finals last year to effectively that's what won Battle Creek the state title by a point over Minden, and they're those two, Pierce and Battle Creek, I guess you could call them sort of rivals a little bit, at least in wrestling, since they're so close.
Well, that's what I would think. It seems kind of ironic how that happened.
Yeah. Brendan Bowling's the mayor of Battle Creek now. I guess got a key to the city, but
I mean,
they're going to take it away for wrestling season.
If Legate and Painter haven't made Cody Wentz do something already with a Pierce shirt or something, like I think the first tournament of the year, maybe Cody should have to wear a Pierce Blue Jay.
Yeah, that's perfect. Or the whole fan section. Battle Creek has a great fan section. Just make them wear Pierce shirts.
Yep.
Battle Creek's going to be in the mix, though. They don't have the highest amount of returning points. They're, I think, relatively far down the list, actually. But they have some young talent that was kind of in that JV area. They have some middleweights that are going to be medalists this year that weren't last year, probably. And they have Connor Heiderman coming in at 285. Went back and forth with Mason Planer all season last year as the JV guy. But so he's, Mason Planer was a 2-time state medalist. So you're going to have, probably a state medalist caliber guy going right in at 285 too.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up because I was just talking to a Class C coach a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned him. I was not actually aware of him as much as I was in the coaching role last year, so you're kind of thinking about other team starters. You're not really looking at their JVs and that kind of stuff. And so he was mentioning that his kid, who's a top heavyweight in the state here in Class C, but the Battle Creek heavyweight coming in is definitely going to be one to watch for. That would be under the radar, at least early. Mm-hmm. So
at least dual-wise, Battle Creek's probably going to be in the thick of the dual scene. And it's going to be one of those deals, right, where it's like Cedar Catholic has the 3 returning finalists and 2 champs. And Oh, I'm sorry,
Well,
four returning finalists, and two of them are champions. And so you got big guns versus deeper lineups
it's kind of
in Omaha.
interesting because I didn't mention Battle Creek in my little Class C intro there, and I have them number two in the we put them number two
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the team rankings, right? But that's without the heavyweight. So if the heavyweight can finish, I mean, they only have to make up 8 points based off the preseason projection. So they're going to be right there.
it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And then, I mean, we don't want to leave out Class D either. I think we're kind of looking at kind of the same teams as last year, right? Like Burwell, Central Valley, Shelby Rising City,
Hmm.
Plainview, Aquinas, Amherst. We were talking about them earlier. They're back in D for the first time in I don't know.
Gosh, maybe 10 years?
It,
Not
I,
10. I don't think it's 10, but it's close.
yeah, gosh, it might. It's
It
7 or
might
8
be.
years.
Well, when I was out at Hershey, they were not in the C4 district, so it would have been maybe like 6 years
Okay,
or something
you
like
gonna say
that.
6 or 7?
Yeah, I
It's
can't
the
do
only
it.
time I'm ever doing that on the
I
show.
can't
But
do it.
the
I'll never do that
opportunity.
on the show.
Okay, all right. Well, I just did it. So, I mean, the perennial powers, I guess, at least for recent years, in Class D are back. You have Plainview. They have returning state champ Adric Stewart. Brody Jensen's coming back for Burwell. He's kind of on his way to four. Central Valley's got Lincoln Nikolai, who won it as a freshman last year. You got Guzman from Palmer, who's on his way to four. So there's some guys in Class D to sort of keep an eye on. Shelby Rising City has Chunk Fiel. Is that how you say it? Fagel?
I don't even know. Probably should get a
Gosh
hold
dang
of
it.
Tanner Kuhn.
Yeah, Tanner's going to be mad at us for this one. Sorry,
Yeah.
Tanner. But, and then the Verbka, and I mean, they're Shelby Rising City is going to be good too. Aquinas, I think, is going to be one of those teams that maybe doesn't start the season as high as they finish. They
Hmm.
have that. I'm going to butcher these names too, but Jaden Schamer, who's probably a state championship caliber kid right out of the gate at 106,
Hmm.
and they have Camden DeWispelair, I think is how you pronounce it, who
Sounds right.
might end up being like a double 106 situation there, or maybe one of them will grow and end up at 13, and you'll get very likely two medalists out of that deal. So
Sure.
they're gonna be in good hands there with Roy
I gotta
Emery
I
here for a
gotta
little while.
say I gotta say one thing about the Sutherland kid. So Ben Frame,
Hmm.
when I was out at Hershey, I mean, I coached his brother, and Ben was just this little ornery little dude, like elementary kid running around, and it's so hard for me to already like imagine that he's a freshman in high school. Just a little
Just
off
mean that just
topic
means you're getting
situation
old.
right there. I know, it's just crazy.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. You got. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of these names that you probably remember from youth that are popping into the club scene now, or I'm sorry, the high school scene now. But I mean,
Hmm.
there are going to be some really good freshmen coming in, just like every year. We didn't
Yeah.
touch on too many for Class C, but I was really impressed with Easton Widener who will be wrestling for Donovan Trumbull this year. If he's at 106, he's going to be probably
Is that a relation to Hastings
to Landon.
Widener's?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think Landon's helping out at Donovan Trumbull now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. So I mean, yeah, keep an eye out on these freshman kids. The strange kid from Scott, his name escaped me earlier at 106. He's going to be he'll be a factor in Class B, and then I really like there's some middleweights in Class B that I want to make sure to shout out. Crew Carlson at Scott as well. You got Forrest Ewing from Blair, who was our number one freshman this year. Harrison Alley and Jake Wagley from Lincoln Standing Bear. New-ish school to wrestling, and they're going to have some pretty big studs coming up.
Mm.
Maybe take their lumps a little bit as freshmen, but I think it's very possible that some of those guys end up on the medal stand, and then Beatrice has the Finley and Edison Omar and Carson Hanshaw. So Class B kind of has like a lot of those good teams. I mean, this is how it works, right? A lot of those good teams have good freshmen coming in. So Watch out, man. I mean, they're going to be problems. They're going to give some fits to some of these guys that are, um, the blue bloods of these other
So
classes.
I want to get your take on this because we're talking about freshmen anyway. So it kind of
Hmm.
segues a little bit into a question I had popped up on our,
Yeah.
before we started the show. It's like, what do you think? I mean, everybody has their own opinions, but what do you think some of the adjustments that freshmen have to go through, like beginning their high school career? Like, I mean, you can have somebody that's a freshman like Cruiser Dominguez, or you can have a run of the mill, you know, freshman front that's maybe not as experienced. But like, how do those two
Yeah.
things? How is it different for both of those guys?
So you're right. Like, Cruiser cruised to a state title last year. Gosh,
Hmm.
stupid pun, but um, uh, he those guys. Okay, so the guys that get tons of national level experience, like, experience this to a lesser degree, right? They've been in
Hmm.
big moments, but even if you do, what can possibly prepare you for Friday night in Omaha at the state tournament? Probably nothing. So, like, as far as high school wrestling, these guys that go to national events, yeah, cool events, big deal tournaments, but there's not 200 people from your school and 200 people from another and 100 from another, like, districts. There's not, at your home tournament.
Hmm.
I personally, this is just a throwback to when I wrestled. I felt like I wrestled terrible in front of my home crowd. Like, it's
Hmm.
just adds an extra level of nerves wrestling in front of, like, your school friends, and maybe this girl you have a crush on. Who knows?
Yeah.
So it definitely changes in high school, and you're going to have to battle nerves probably more than you've ever battled nerves before for freshmen. And obviously, if you're a bigger kid um, that's used to winning, if you're, I mean, probably honestly maybe like 120 and up, you're wrestling. The guys at the top of your weight class are seniors, so
Yeah.
that's a big physical difference in most cases, unless you're like JT Smith or somebody who's just like jacked out of their mind. You're going to be probably, you're going to have to rely on technique, or you're going to eventually, you just have to understand you probably will lose. And you probably will lose more than once, and you probably won't win a state title. And,
Hmm.
like, maybe if you're like a 190 or 215, you're not going to place.
Yeah.
But not everyone's Tyson Terry, but a lot of times, you make a huge jump between your freshman and sophomore year. So it's just patience, right? Like, don't give up on wrestling just because you're a big dude wrestling upperclassmen. Stick with the sport, and finish as a two timer or something. Like,
Right. Yeah.
there's adjustments, and some, depending on what weight you are, it's definitely a different type of sport.
Yeah. And specifically talking about like, I mean, you probably could mention this a little better than I could because I didn't have to go through it like you did, but like the weight cut,
Mm.
like how much does the week to week weight cut have play into effect for a freshman who's never had to do it on a regular basis week to week?
I'm going to use my sophomore season as an example because I was 95 pounds as a freshman. But the week to week weight cutting thing is, I mean, you have to be disciplined,
Hmm.
um, because if you don't do it right, or like, you can and probably will get caught on a bad day. Like, if you have a bad cut, or maybe you blow up over Christmas break and then crash back down, like, you're not going to be your normal self. And if you're a big name, you're going to have a target on your back. So, I mean, and they all know that. The coaches are going to all tell them. But I think the biggest thing in regards to cutting weight your freshman season is a growth spurt, right? Like, um, you could start the season weighing 115, and you get down to 106, no problem. And then, um, you know, maybe you get back from the CHI center on Saturday night and you're 125 pounds, and you'll
Right.
you'll never make 106 again, let alone maybe even 113 the next year. So, there are those kids that are fine at the beginning of the year, but by the end of the season, it is a real bear to make the weight that you're at. And, it takes, mental toughness. You have to do it right. You have to eliminate the crappy foods and all of that. So,
Yeah.
um, golly, man, I don't, that's one thing I don't miss is cutting weight.
That's the one thing that I always tried to emphasize, while I was coaching was, I mean, the doing it the right way in terms of fueling your body, so that way it had a maintaining of energy throughout the week, right?
Hmm.
So like when you're eating all the fruit and simple carbs and stuff like that, especially, I don't know, like it's just one of those things where when you tend to do the whole roller coaster thing, and I know that I think of you specifically because I know that you had to battle like sickness at times, but I know that your weight cut was always a little bit more, cans of
Significant.
maybe some cans of Coke and stuff
I
in there,
snuck one
try
in
to
there,
get you
everyone,
through the
especially
week.
after weigh-ins.
Yeah, but
I
anyway,
always,
like,
I always had a can or two or three of Coca Colas in my cooler for after weigh-ins,
oh,
and
man, I can't.
I had never once regretted having one. So sorry, kids. I did not practice what I'm preaching now, but what do you do?
Yeah. So I mean,
Um,
just making sure that the meal choices are adequate,
mm,
like wholesome foods to get you through the week rather than, I mean, because especially we didn't have to deal with this when we were in school, or you didn't. I mean, I never cut any weight because I was 75 pounds underweight, but like the
I
energy
hated
drinks
you
and
for
all that
that.
kind of stuff.
Not
All
actually.
the energy drinks and all that kind of stuff that they have to deal with, and like, like still your best bet's probably to water or some sort of Gatorade electrolyte
Hmm.
drink.
Yep.
So
So, how about we jump over to the girls and sort of talk about some of the girls stuff.
okay.
Um, so last year the team race was exciting in Class A, especially leading up to state because you had it was like we talked about this, like the big guns of Omaha West Side against the depth of Norfolk, and this is the first year of having two classes. Um,
Hmm.
when it was one class, you could almost always bet that the team with the big guns would win.
Right.
Now last year Norfolk sort of proved us wrong. We've had Norfolk number one for a little while, and then we kind of flipped our mind and thought that based on the draws, West Side would win, but it was Norfolk, and it's probably going to be those two teams again this year. I think we had them 1 and 2. Um, Kearney, Lexington, Beatrice are going to be up there too. Lexington has like 60 girls out this year, so I
Yeah,
mean
that's crazy.
it's crazy. And like last year, I think they had two girls that were JV season fill in at districts for varsity girls who were hurt, and they qualified.
Hmm.
Like that's how much depth they have. So we'll kind of keep an eye on the Minute Maids of Lexington and see how they kind of navigate the season. But they're going to be a very good team, and there's going to be a lot of great wrestling going on in Class A for girls. 8 returning state champions. You have Kaylin Harrell um, looking for state title number 3 as a junior there for Omaha Skutt. Mia Anderson out of Bennington won it as a freshman last year, so she's on the track for 4. I mean, got a long ways to go, but um, it's going to be an exciting season for the girls in Class A, and we'll have Sean Trampy on here at some point, who's our master guru for the girls wrestling side of things, and
Hmm.
we'll get going a little more in depth on that. But the Class B girls, um, I mean, it's going to be a good year for those girls too. There's a ton of returning state champions in Class B. I think like 10 or 11 of the
Hmm.
girls in Class B are coming back that won state last season. Um, Jordan Campbell is the number one senior in the state for girls. She had a couple wins over Kaylin Lyons last year from Westview in Class A, who knocked off
Huge
Macy.
wins.
Yeah, knocked off Macy Peacher, who was going for a fourth state title in the state finals. Kaylin Lyons did. So that sort of tells you what kind of kid Jordan Campbell is, and multi-sport athlete, and just pretty darn fortunate to have her in the wrestling world. She does great. Caden Sips going for 3 for Adams Central. Sip wrestles all the time. It seems like she gets a little coaching from Reagan Galloway, who um, I mean was incredible, and she's a NAIA American. I think she's top 3 for Hastings College right now. So good stuff there for the girls. You got anything to add on the girls stuff?
Just from a coaching perspective, the thing that, like, again, coming off of being a coach and now into the media side of things, like I'll get to pay attention a little bit more to the girls' side
Mm-hmm.
from the week to week that took place. Like our boys' schedule was not. We weren't at the same tournaments that our girls were at. At Logan
Yep.
View, and so you didn't. I mean, we saw some girls wrestling, but a lot of times we didn't. And so, like when I got to the state tournament, and obviously it's the 2 days prior, but I watched the state finals
Yep.
of the girls' matches, on TV. And I was actually really impressed with how quickly girls wrestling has improved over the last 3, 4, whatever year, how many years it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like that first year, you kind of were like, okay, it's just going to take some time. The optic was is that like you're just waiting for the depth to kind of come through. And each successive year since the beginning of girls wrestling, you can see that for lack of a better term, like it's just become more athletic,
Yep.
like, and it's become more deep. And I know that some of the, like, I'm going to throw this name out there, Chase County girl. I have no idea who
Oh,
she
Haley
was.
Rusher. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's the daughter of, he was the assistant coach. I think it's Jeff.
Yeah. That's
He
right.
was the assistant coach for the boys out there when I was in Hershey, and he's out of Chase County. And so, like, I didn't even know. Like, I just saw the name, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's got to be his daughter. And sure
Yeah, yeah.
enough,
Been around wrestling
like,
her whole life, just like maybe never wrestled before even. Actually, I remember
yeah.
seeing her at maybe it was AAU State in 2024,
Hmm.
and I was like, that girl's freaking good. And
Oh
then
yeah.
obviously the next season she ended up winning. So
Yeah.
and you see that a lot with these girls,
Yes.
like the ascent of some of them who catch on fast and natural
Yeah.
athletes, strong, like whatever it may be. Um,
So
sometimes someone can go from being unranked to like a state finalist all in the same season. It's nuts.
I will have to say though that like like when you're focused on your boys team, you just don't you didn't know what kind of quality of wrestling it was.
Mm.
And when I saw Rusher, I saw the Taylor Allman and the girl she wrestled. That
Hmm.
was a great match in the state
Yeah, that
finals.
was awesome. Hmm.
Awesome match.
Yep.
And then the girl from Southwest.
Oh,
Oh
Amby,
gosh,
Amby
yes,
Custard. Yeah, yeah.
yes. Like that was kind of like the aha moment for me. Like, okay, I feel like there's like girls wrestling has arrived and faster than
Hmm.
what I personally thought it would.
Well,
So,
the rise of the rise of the clubs a little bit, like NWA in Omaha, they've been your prolific girls club for quite a while, but you have other clubs stepping up now. You got 308 out west there,
hmm,
and lots of others. I don't want to get too much into the club thing because we're in high school season, but like props to them because they're developing these kids and they're
yeah,
giving them an avenue
yeah.
to wrestle year round and get better.
Well, and it's creating excitement for wrestling for the girls' side of things too, outside of the high school season, which
Mhm.
obviously makes the high school season that much better.
Yep. Yep, and it'll be great because I think in Class B this year for girls, like there's like who's going to win it? Don't know. Adams Central drops from A. They'll be good. They have a deep team. West Holt, Lakeview,
Hmm.
kind of same thing. Deeper teams. UTAN's a returning state champion team. They lose the Pearson twins, but they have other girls who are state medal caliber wrestlers too. So um, and then who knows? Like there could be others that pop up too. That's kind of the nature of girls wrestling. It's what makes it awesome right now. And
Yeah,
if you haven't watched girls wrestling before at a tournament, I suggest to everybody to do that because it's honestly it can be way more fun than the boys. I mean, like nobody's out of a match literally. They're flying around all over the place. Their teammates are around the mat screaming. It's really neat. It really truly is fun to watch. And so be a part of the fastest
I
growing
will.
sport
I
in
will
the
say
country.
this. I will say this because as a boys team, a lot of wrestling is huge into tradition, huge into like don't change what isn't, like don't change because the whole idea of the state tournament possibly changing that was a big deal and discussion, like when
Hmm.
girls were getting their own 2 days, like, well, how's it going to be formatted? So there's a lot of old mindsets out there, but I would agree with you, like open your mind a little bit, watch girls wrestling, and the thing that I was most impressed with was that they have not reached the too cool factor to support their teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you kind of hit on. Like they're all
Yep.
around the corner, they're around the coach's corner, they're freaking out. Like yes, it can seem kind of juvenile, quote unquote, but that's also what makes culture great because they all support each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, if you talk to Ron Higdon, I mean, they were thrilled with the attendance at state last year. I mean, Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday isn't, not your peak days. I mean, people taking off of work to be there.
mhm.
Um, it was awesome. It really was. I mean, they treated everything like they did the boys. They had they dimmed the lights red and green depending on who was walking in for the state finals. They did the walk. They did it all. So
Yeah.
a wonderful event, and girls wrestling's here to stay. So um,
I enjoy it. I love it. The fact, now that I'm on this side of it with you guys,
mhm.
like having 5 straight days of wrestling is going to be kind of fun
It's
there.
going to be
I'm like,
awesome, dude. It is awesome. It is. You'll be a little short on sleep, but it'll be a good
yeah.
time. Again, and we will. I don't mean to brush over the girls this fast, but Sean will be on the show. We're going to sort of rotate people in and out. Kale's probably going to be the staple here, um, but it's going to be fun to do this, and I hope that we're able to have a few guests on as we go along,
Hmm.
and we continue to evolve, and maybe we'll do some weekly segments and things like that. But we should probably touch on the college stuff a little bit. You think?
Yeah, one thing since we're kind of talking to the patrons just a little bit, those
Mm-hmm.
about what this podcast is, like if you guys that are listening to this ever want to have any interactive type stuff, like throw us some emails, throw us some suggestions, comments, or whatever, like something maybe you have questions you want us to answer. Anything like that that's kind of interactive for you guys to also help us to grow the podcast because this is obviously a new thing that we're super excited about. And the more interactive we can be with it, with you guys, the better. So,
Yep. Yep. Give us some ideas for a better name,
yeah.
or I mean, maybe any wrestle podcast. It's just clear and that's that it's what you get. But you nailed it, dude. We want this to be fun and exciting. We want to um, maybe do some of the same things every week, but then also
Hmm.
add some new twists and turns as we go along. Um, we'll talk about some of the bigger events, as we approach them. There's no competitions to talk about really right now. I know that I'll personally be in York probably that first weekend. Do you know where you're going to go, if anywhere?
Um, I'll definitely find somewhere to go. I just haven't decided where I'm going the first week yet.
Yeah,
So,
and
I
then
mean, you're the former Class C guy, and I
yeah.
kind of forget what was outside of my schedule that I was wrestling with my team.
Well, you know what, man? It's funny how much things change. Like what tournaments the biggest bees knees tournament out there anymore. It does change. I've always
Hmm.
personally felt like opening weekend is kind of like a little bit of an ease in for a lot of teams,
Hmm.
so they're spread out quite a bit. There's not that big staple event like week 2 Council Bluffs Classic. Week 3 the Fracas has always been big. Logan View Invite for the smaller schools has been big.
Hmm.
So I think teams sort of ease into it. I think like Creighton Prep's going to the Donnybrook, which is like going to have nationally ranked teams all over the place. So Scott, I'm sure is going to go somewhere crazy too. I'm not going to pull up the schedules and go through all this. Some teams will be intense, and then some teams will, be in those 12 to 15 team tournaments out of the gate, and there's nothing wrong with
Hmm.
that either. So,
Yeah.
so I went to Oklahoma over the weekend and got to watch the GBR Skurs #1. Um, and first of all, it was a new event. Is the National Duels Invitational presented by Paycom. Uh, a company in Oklahoma basically put up $1 million for a purse for teams to go. Yeah, and it was like an invitational, so it wasn't like affiliated with the NCAA, but it felt like
Hmm.
because I've been to the NCAA tournament in Tulsa as well, and they basically it felt like that to a certain extent. The crowd wasn't as big, but I mean they made it special, they made it exciting. There were some great duels. I think the Nebraska has a few guys battling some injuries, and they didn't have the second day that they wanted. I don't think
Hmm.
anyone would be mad at me for saying that. Um, but you saw some good things, and there are things to build on. Yes, but I mean, if you're a Husker fan, you know you're not going to let it get to you that much because it really isn't what matters. I mean, they still got a $75,000 check to bring back that helps for recruiting and NIL stuff, and um, but I mean, they ran into some buzzsaws. Ohio, they beat Lehigh, who's ranked number 8 in the country.
Hmm.
Lehigh was missing some guys. They beat Michigan, who's ranked number 11. Didn't really have too much of an issue with Michigan, even though they were subbing a couple guys in and out of the lineup. And then Sunday morning ran into Ohio State, and Ohio State was, dude, like they're good, really
Mid-season
good.
form.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Lost a couple close ones. We had a few guys out. Um, I I think it'll be much more competitive in January when they come to Lincoln, Nebraska. Um,
Hmm.
and then we lost to Oklahoma State for third. They had to forfeit a weight. Um, both of the
Guys
130.
were just kind of already banged up a little
Oh my
bit, you know. I
gosh,
mean,
yeah,
like what a
yeah.
grind to start the
Mm,
year, you know,
yo,
like
I mean, kind of. It's one of those things, like if you're like a surface Husker fan, or maybe you're a Husker fan that is very passionate and you don't follow wrestling, and you're going to be like, God, well, I saw a lot of nasty comments
yeah,
in our comments. Pretty much
overreaction central.
overreactions. I mean, if you followed Husker wrestling for a long time, like I will say that they kind of almost always have like a little bit of a letdown early in the season. Um,
How many times did we say that in the text group about like just like, you know, like how are you going to expect the Huskers to break the norm because they've always started slow? I
well, and
mean,
it's but
you
it's
just
their
expect it to be a little different because the roster is a little bit more bolstered
sure,
from like
and
star power, but that doesn't mean that you know,
well, and it doesn't mean that they're not. I mean, they've been going through the preseason grind. They're just getting going with the season. People
oh
have
yeah,
lingering stuff already.
yep,
I personally, we've all seen it. If you've been following Husker wrestling, I know there's a lot more eyes on it now that they are insanely good, and they
yeah.
do have AJ Ferrari in there, and who's like, to me, was super polite, was great. Introduced himself. We talked for a little bit. Like,
Well, it's probably
I don't know.
worth mentioning like where did the Huskers start the year last year ranked?
Right, it
If we're
wasn't number two. I don't. I
No,
don't
and
know.
they
Yeah,
and then
you
they
nailed it.
finished number two.
Yeah.
So I mean, like people just need to have a little history lesson for
Hmm.
just back up one year and be like, oh, okay, yeah,
Hmm.
these guys like we didn't even Chris Minto wasn't even in the freaking lineup, you know,
Yeah.
last
Yep.
year at the beginning, you know, like so you just never know. Like it's so early.
And Nebraska's great at developing their guys throughout the season. They're almost
Yeah,
always at their best in March, and
yeah, and that's where you want
that's
to
what we're
be.
that's what we're building towards.
Yeah, Ohio State, like you know, hot take central. Like you're gonna peak too early, son. You know, like
Hopefully, because they were really impressive. But they will be in Lincoln on like January 12th, whatever that Sunday is. So
yeah,
go there and be loud and all the things for all the Husker duels.
yeah.
Obviously, college wrestling's in full effect for all divisions. Um, I don't want to get myself in trouble by forgetting um, teams or schools or anything, but Kearney's got a big tournament this weekend, the Eunice Hospitality Open. I think we will have somebody there taking some photos and things like that. Um, that's always a huge event. Um, the Lopers got a duel Southeast. So UNK is number one in Division Two. Southeast and Beatrice is let's just say they're top five. They're 4 or 5 in
Hmm.
JUCO junior college, and Kearney dominated. But there were some competitive matches. I think Southeast is going to be fine. They're going to probably push. I would, they're going to be a top 5 team in JUCOs. Shattern State's having some early season success. I'm seeing Mason Villwalk and Hunter Jacobson. Those are Nebraska kids that are doing their thing at the collegiate level. Caleb Coyle and Zach Arata for UNK are doing great.
Hmm.
Um, so there's good representation at these schools. Southeast has like half their lineup is from Nebraska. Um, the NAI schools. Gosh, I'm gonna not get them all. I'm not gonna get them all. Hastings, Concordia, York, Doane, Midland. Those schools have Nebraska kids. We had Nebraskans at All American last year, and then also we have tons of guys having great success elsewhere. Like
Yeah.
Isaac Trumbull is going to be in the thick of it for a Division I title for NC State. He's coming back finally from the little knee thing, but I mean, it's fun. You got Max Mayfield out there doing his thing. You're going to see some Husker kids in and out of these lineups. Nick Hamilton for Virginia. Garrett Grice might see the mat for Iowa State. You got Ziola behind Ferrari there, his true freshman season. It's exciting because it feels like now more so than ever, Nebraska is represented with high quality potential All-American level guys in D1 right now.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that because like the guy that comes to mind when it comes to a Nebraska kid that maybe didn't wrestle for Nebraska for me personally was Will Shaney. Like kind of kickstarting the whole like going off into being a recruit to other schools at the D1 level. And now you see those guys kind of all over, in pockets or whatever, like the potential for a Nebraska born kid to, make his mark on the state of college wrestling at another institution. And so like, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's just neat to see and follow.
Yeah. It's awesome, dude. I mean, like listen to this. I have a little list. You ready for this? Mm-hmm. These are guys that could and probably will at least start a duel this season. Cale Lauritsen from Bennington, Nebraska. Garrett Grice, Bellevue East, Iowa State. John Alden, O'Neill, Wyoming at 141. 149, Scott Robertson from Millard South. Blake Cushing could be 41 or 49 from Grand Island. Obviously, Antrell Taylor is killing it. Joel Adams is the varsity guy for Oregon State at 157. So he's a little bigger now these days, but he's the varsity guy. There is a world where we could see Millard South Joel Adams against Millard South Antrell Taylor at some point this season, which would be particularly awesome. Wild. Yeah. Max Mayfield, Lincoln East, 165 for Missouri. Nick Hamilton has been at 174. He was blood round last year from Papillion La Vista. Mm-hmm. And then you have Isaac Trumbull at 285 for NC State. And then yet another Millard South kid, Caden Olin for Cal Baptist. If I forgot anyone, I'm sorry again, but I mean, that's insane, dude. Is there ever been a time where you can say there's that many kids that like are like wrestling, not just for like D1 schools in most cases, but like prominent D1 schools?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Like I felt like Will Shaney kind of kicked that off.
Yeah.
Like going to Virginia. And so like, that's why wrestling's such a brotherhood sport anyway. And especially like, so when you have anybody from Nebraska goes off and wrestles for another D school, it's not like the football players that go play football at another D1 school and you kind of just forget about them. Like we still will follow them. And we still cover them. Yes. And so like, it's just you root for the proverbial family, it's kind of what I'm getting at, but It's nice to see what these guys are going to do. And hopefully someone like Nick Hamilton will finally make the podium, or Max Mayfield or whoever,
or maybe Trumbull wins it, or maybe, anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless that's I mean, what do you do if Trumbull has to wrestle Nebraska in a semifinal of the national tournament? Who do you root for?
I don't know. I mean, it's a win-win scenario, right?
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Win-win scenario.
Be a great problem to have.
It would be. Yeah, let's hope that happens. Maybe him and AJ Ferrari will be the national championship match. That would be cool.
Yeah.
You want to do any like quick hitters or anything?
Oh, the old lightning round?
I mean, I don't know what a lightning round is, but I saw it on the thing. So
okay, so the idea behind this, I actually got this from ChatGPT. I had to ask a little bit for some like little niche things.
Oh man, but leaning on AI already. Gosh dang.
First, a little, the first name or the first team or first thing that pops in your head. I'm just gonna give you a category, and you don't have to give a reason.
Okay.
You just say who it is. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll just start Class A dual meet environment.
Kearney High singlet night. That's what, or the stage duels that they've had. Lincoln East
Yeah.
has them too. But yeah, Kearney
Okay.
High singlet night right out of the gate. No
Toughest
hesitation.
toughest weight class in girls in the entire state.
Oh man, 125, 130,
Okay.
kind of right in the middle.
Toughest boys weight class.
Oh man, A132 last year, I think, just like depth wise. Getting specific on that one, but
Yeah.
that was a crazy weight with Gates and Ekdahl and Hardy and Akerson, and I mean those guys were
Sure.
freaking good. Um,
I'm gonna throw one
but
out before we
but
continue this.
like probably the middleweight. I mean, I just feel like the middleweights is like just most. Go ahead, go ahead.
So I was talking to Tranmer at Winnebago. Class
Okay,
C heavyweight last year was as deep as a heavyweight
okay,
class as I've ever seen.
okay. And I would also like, yeah, I don't disagree with you one bit. Like it was very very good. There were actually a couple of Class C weights last year where the C guys like kind of had the bragging rights. Ashland Greenwood, names escaping me, that won B 285 last year. That guy was insane, and so was Keegan Linden from York. But
Oh, Konzum.
yeah, Carver Consom and
Yeah.
Keegan Linden got second. Those guys are dogs, right?
Yeah.
But like the depth in class, you could have re-wrestled the state champion from 2024 in the same weight, and he's beaten all those guys. Did not place. Like it got things went haywire because you had like the two undefeated guys didn't medal
Right.
in Class C last year. That was okay. You're right. Valid.
It reminded me of 135 Class C 2006.
We all know who won that one.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
135 Dev.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay. I gotta compose myself.
Okay,
Okay.
and then yeah, dude. This is actually awesome. Keep doing this.
Okay. So here we go. Best coach at developing unsuspected wrestlers for boys.
Oh my gosh. Um, Unsuspecting wrestlers.
Yeah. So the coach that develops the best kids that come flying under the radar.
Man, I'm gonna probably lean towards like one of the coaches who is coached for a smaller school that has these kids that'll wrestle like 50 matches and they're 27 and 23 and then they get a medal. So
Hmm.
maybe like a Goebel at Syracuse, or just somebody with a tough schedule. What do you think? I want to hear you on this one.
I had a couple names. One is based off a tradition, and the other one
Okay.
is based in more recency bias. And the one that's more recent came out of the other one's program. So Darren Garfield and Connor Bowling.
Those are good ones.
Darren
Those are very
Darren
good.
Garfield, like you talk about the record, I always thought that, like you could be like, okay, Central City kid's got like 17, 18 losses and he's going to get fourth, and Connor Bowling at the St. Paul, like they've just been rolling out dudes
You
through
know,
development like that
that's
are
true.
not star powered. They're not star powered athletes, like, but they win freaking matches. Go back to the state duels 2 years ago. Like the
When
duels
they
was
won,
won.
and we thought that I predicted them to go on too.
Yeah.
St. Paul will never
Yeah.
forget.
So that's a little,
Bulletin board material, right? Like that's how it is.
yeah, but those are
That's
the
a
two first that came to my mind.
and I think it's almost entirely this particular question is going to be like mostly geared towards the smaller schools because the
Oh
bigger
yeah.
schools are going to have those kids that are already developed and
Yes. And that's kind of what I mean, those are the ones that have been wrestling year round. So like when you have the dudes that are coming out, maybe gosh, I think of like, well, you go back to when I was at Wood River, like Jack Gangwish, he was a 3-year wrestler and ended up making himself into a state finalist. But Waddington and Derek Garfield and then Eric Dozel was a part of that team too prior to my arrival. Like those guys developed him in a ridiculous. I mean that whole team,
yeah,
honestly, but like
that's a good question.
yeah. So
Love to hear your guys' input on that one.
yeah, maybe there's some
Who,
names
who
like
develops these kids? I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
shout out to all the coaches. Like
yeah,
they're everyone puts in a
this
ton
is
of
just a
sacrifice and
fun
stuff. But yeah,
fun little deal. Like I think of maybe David City, you know,
yeah, coach
Tanner.
team.
Yeah,
I was going to mention, yeah,
yeah. He
some
probably has
kids that
those
you
guys.
never heard of that just end up getting state medals and then state finalists
Well,
after a
every
while.
year as a coach, every single year as a coach, you're kind of like, it's one of those tournaments. You're like, where did that kid come from? And it seems to kind of cycle through a lot of those traditionally powerful schools
Hmm.
too, like even in the small ones. So
Yeah.
anyway, I guess we'll move on. Okay, here's a few more.
Yes, I'm having fun with this.
Okay, most improved program in Class B over the last 5 years. These are all going to be 5 year questions here right now. Class
Gosh,
B.
is Elkhorn North 5 years old? Because I would probably go with Elkhorn North. They
Okay.
made the state duels last year. They got a solid lineup of kids. Gretna East, I know isn't because that's the school district that I'm in, but they're going to be
Hmm.
good this year too. I'm kind of thinking like schools that haven't been in the fray for a long time that are now are.
Hmm. Hmm.
What do you got any on that one?
In Class B,
Yeah,
I think that Gretna East is a good, but they haven't been around for 5 years. But I think that's a great point. But I
yeah,
think that's kind of like anytime you have a new school, Elkhorn North kind of fits into that mold a little bit because they're still pretty new.
they're pretty new. Yep,
Um,
pretty new. I mean, like you're okay. So obviously Scott and Bennington, but like Waverly, I guess, because they've kind of been like the last 3 years. Obviously
yeah,
Dozel's done some good stuff there.
yeah, and
Um,
he's been there for quite a while now. But I feel like they've really taken another step
hmm.
forward in terms of creating a lot of depth. He's always had some horses,
Yeah.
but now it seems like they're just becoming much more deep.
You know who I would say is kind of gosh, like a perennial top 10 team, or it's like I feel like York has done a really good job the last couple of years too.
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson being their Kearney guy, UNK guy.
Hmm.
They're doing a good job. So yeah, no, that's an awesome question too.
Okay, how about Class D?
Word it to me again one more time.
Okay, most improved program in Class D over the last 5 years.
Over the last 5 years.
If you have to reach back to maybe 6 or 7 years, then
Oh
maybe. But
gosh, he
that's
did it.
I
He
have one.
did
I
it.
have
He
one
said
that
it.
I have one that. Oh, geez,
Uh, oh gosh. I
I
mean,
got
outside
one.
of your traditionals, Shelby Rising City and Central Valley.
Sutherland. That was a
So,
program
yeah,
that
but they
was
won it like
not.
3 years ago. Okay, but
Yeah, but
before
that. But
their
they.
okay,
Yeah, before their run, they were not. Not.
truth,
You know.
truth. Okay, yeah, good one.
So yeah. And then class. I mean, you could say Class A, but that's tough. I mean, because it feels like it's kind of just regroup. I mean,
Well,
no
Creighton
offense to
Prep,
Class A. Yes, there you go.
Creighton Prep.
There's yeah.
Yeah, because
Um,
I mean, a few years ago, they might have had a state champion a year, but now, I mean, now that's completely different. So,
right.
and they weren't like a even. I don't think they were. Maybe they were a top 10 in Class A, but they weren't a top five perennial Class A team. So now they just are going to be for probably quite a while.
Yeah. Um, then Class C. Who do you got?
St. Paul talked about St. Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Cedar Catholic is going to
Mm-hmm.
be awesome. When I think of Class C, I mean, I guess even Battle Creek, like the last 5 years, has really come on to another level.
Yes.
Um,
Another Northeast school that I'm
Crofton
thinking
Bloomfield,
of. Yes.
yeah,
Dude, those guys are like they don't go away. They're not going away. Like
they're
sometimes you
dogs.
wonder like if they're gonna be flashing like if just a couple years where they got some
Hmm.
dudes. Well, now it's like now they're just recycling like, pretty talented
Yeah,
wrestlers.
I've
So
I've really personally enjoyed following Class C the last few years because it's been competitive. You've seen a decent circulation of teams winning the state tournament.
hmm.
Um, and I think that's going to probably continue. I mean, Battle Creek will be up there, but like, there's that's one of the more exciting team
How
races
about
this year.
Donovan?
Yeah, they've been pretty solid
because
too. I think.
that was a program that was nothing
Hmm.
for the longest time. I mean, no
Yeah, Coach
offense, but
Smith has
like
done a great job, and
fantastic job.
you got Landon Wiedner involved, and Easton I think is going to be the start of like another wave of younger dudes that go there. Like the oh my gosh, he was at Super 32,
Mm.
little guy. His Martin,
Oh
Wesley
yeah,
Martin. Um, I think that they're going to be good, and then they have Asher McKenna at the big weights. I think Donovan's going to pull some of those Hastings, Grand Island area guys, maybe even to go down there and do some
yeah.
stuff. Hmm.
The funny thing about Donovan is like I feel like that program is only like it's only like 25 years old or
Oh, really? Yeah, I
something
had no
like that.
idea.
It's
No idea.
crazy. It's really young. And if you're, I mean, if you're, Coach Smith or whatever, like if you're listening, we'd love to know what the actual number is on that. But I'm pretty sure that Donovan had to get wrestling to be part of the Lou Platte conference. Like I
Oh,
believe
really?
that's why
Well,
they
look at
started the
you.
conference. So,
Nice.
okay, last one.
Last one. Here we go.
Best singlet design, boys and then girls, separate.
Whoa. I, gosh, I can't even start. I don't think I used to when I was younger. I really liked the Valentine whites, the white
Okay,
singlets.
yeah,
I I love the old school pinstripes. Like I know Northwest has some. Windside, I think, is kind of the OG. Um, I like simple too. I like the Scut all blacks.
yeah.
What about you?
Well, the funny thing is when you start thinking about the past, for whatever reason, I'm not gonna say it's the best, but I always thought that Culbertson, Nebraska, had these really wide freaking straps on this. It was weird because Nick Rooney, I think that was the name. Is that the kid that wrestled
Yeah, yeah,
Trampy?
yeah. That's
Yeah, it
digging
was.
deep for that one. Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah, but anyway, like you know, um, I don't know.
Gosh,
I thought that was pretty good.
that's another thing. Like that's another one. Like who has the best singlets? Like that's let us know. That would be
Yeah.
cool.
What are your
Um,
guys' opinions?
yeah. Oh man, we should put that one up
I mean, I
on
don't want to go
socials and
completely
let the
biased, but I thought the Logan View Military Appreciation one was really awesome last
those
year.
were cool. Those were very cool. And it's cool now because pretty much when dating ourselves in the early 2000s, most schools had effectively one singlet to wear in
Mm,
tournaments. Maybe not on the eastern side of the state, but over there in the 308, it was we only ever got one, and then teams
right.
started to do those finals singlets,
Yeah.
and when when that started happening, it was like, oh come on, I just remember begging to get a final singlet, and that never happened. Darn it.
Yeah. Shout out to our former coach, but it's just not the style. He's not a final singlet guy.
Yeah,
Okay. Before we wrap this up, because we're sitting on an hour already. Time
yeah,
flies when you do this.
we're gonna the other short shows are gonna be shorter. Bear
Yeah.
with us, please.
The last one, lightning round. Tom Goulet Jr.
What about him? West Point.
There you go. Nice
Oh, that's
job.
it.
That
Okay.
was quick thinking. Great. Great job.
Gosh, you're gonna give me some name to try and remember from ages ago.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I wonder if Nick Rooney's going to listen to this. Wouldn't that
No,
be something?
no way. No way. But I hope everyone who did listen enjoyed it. As we get into the season, we're going to be focusing more on the goings on of
Yep.
these events, and we'll try and break down, um, you know, do some analysis on here. We're probably going to hopefully have the podcast up maybe on Monday nights, at least early in the week, so we have a chance to digest the results and then give you guys some good content and analysis and feedback and all the
Yeah.
things, and we'll sort of keep trying to do some of the fun questions and stuff too. Anything to sound off on?
No, just really excited to be part of it. Part of the crew, the Nebraska Wrestle crew. So just want to say thanks to you for bringing me on too, as well.
Well, and
And
thanks for
just,
being the podcast guru, man.
yeah,
Appreciate
well,
you doing it, and we appreciate Joe
Yes,
Shuck a beer out of
absolutely.
Milford for helping support this and support businesses that support wrestling.
That's
Yep,
right.
that's all I got.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys later in the next episode.